this question is a little bit of a review from last time, but also it's what we're going to be talking about today. So, are sharks fish? Yes or no? Awesome. So most of you got that right as well. Sharks are fish. Now, if we remember from Miss Dora's lesson once again, there are two different categories of fish. One is going to be osteichthyes. Those osteichthyes fish are the ones that have bones. So those are going to be your barracuda, your snapper, even your pufferfish. Sharks are still fish, but they are in the category chondrichthyes, and we're going to be talking about that a lot today. Chondrichthyes, though, have that cartilage. So just like your nose, just like your ears, can you guys all feel that right there? That's all cartilage, just like how a shark has. All right, and the last question, guys, it's actually not even a trivia question. It's more of an opinion question. Are you afraid of sharks? Yes or no? Are you afraid of sharks? And you can be totally honest. It's totally fine if you are, but I'm just curious. Are you afraid of sharks? All right, so a few of you guys said no. A few of you guys said yes. Both those opinions are absolutely fine. But my goal for today is to make sure that by the end of this lesson, no one is afraid of sharks. If you guys don't learn anything from today besides the fact to not be afraid, then I'll feel like I've done my job. They are some of the coolest animals in the world, and sharks are much more afraid of humans than we are of them. So I hope that at the end of this lesson, we all think sharks are really awesome and that they're nothing to be afraid of. So let's start talking about a little bit more of why sharks are different than other fish. So one, like we just said, they are made of cartilage. So remember again, your nose, your ears, that's exactly what cartilage is, and that is what sharks are made out of. So they do not have bones. The second thing is that sharks do not have a swim bladder. So Miss Dora talked to you guys about what a swim bladder is. It's almost like a balloon organ that has air in it, and it controls fish's buoyancy, bony fish buoyancy. So if you have a fish, it allows it to be nice and neutral in the water. The swim bladder allows the fish to not go way too up to the surface, and it also allows the fish to not be stuck on the bottom. So it has that neutral, nice buoyancy. Now, sharks need to be buoyant as well. So instead of having a swim bladder, they have a really fatty liver. So liver is another organ, and around their liver is almost just like a layer of fat. And we are going to be talking about this a little bit more. We're going to do an experiment at the end. It's one of your take-home activities. And you will see that oil really helps, or fat really helps, buoyancy. So that's how sharks are able to be neutrally buoyant in the water. Another reason sharks are a little bit different than bony fish is that you can actually see their gills on the outside of their body. So bony fish, like their barracuda, your snapper, your tuna, they all have a cover that allows you to not be able to see their gills. If you remember Miss Dora dissecting that bonita, it took them to cut open the fish to be able to see those really frilly, bright pink gills. But you can actually see shark gills on their body. And lastly, sharks do have scales, but their scales are a little bit different than your bony fish as well. Their scales are called placoid scales. I actually have a picture of them right here. You guys can see, those are what placoid scales look like. And you might notice that on one, if you were to rub a shark this way, it would be really pokey and almost hurt your fingers. But if you were to pet or rub them the other way, it'd be super, super soft. And this is because shark almost have really, really small teeth as their scales. A nickname for shark scales are called dermal denticles. And that might sound like a weird name. Can you guys all say dermal denticles? Yeah, dermal denticles. And there's a hidden message in that name. So if you think of dermal, you can think of dermis or dermatologist. And do you guys know what kind of doctor a dermatologist is? They are a skin doctor. So they make sure that our skin is nice and healthy. So dermal, dermatologist, dermis means skin. Denticles like a dentist, do you guys know what a dentist does? They fix your teeth and make sure your teeth are healthy. So dermal meaning skin and denticles meaning teeth, what does that give you? Skin teeth. So it's almost like sharks have really teeny tiny teeth for their skin, and that's where they get their name from. All right, so sharks are also awesome because they have been around for a very, very, very long time. Some people even think that sharks have lived longer than the dinosaurs, which is very cool. One of the most famous sharks that is now extinct, but that used to live back about 2 million years ago, is the Megalodon. Have you guys ever heard of the Megalodon before? They're pretty crazy to think of. Here is a little graph that I have. You guys can see that there's a human right at the bottom. Oop, where is the guy? Right there. The green shark is what a great white shark looks like now. So we have great white sharks in our oceans, and that green shark is about the size or the average size of one. The purple shark is a whale shark. They're the biggest shark we have in our ocean now. And then that red and that gray shark are estimated sizes of what the Megalodon looked like. So let me reiterate, Megalodons are extinct. We don't have them in our oceans anymore. But they used to live in our ocean millions of years ago. Could you guys imagine swimming with that gray shark? I would be very, very scared. So I'm almost happy they're not in our ocean anymore. But the reason there's a great white shark right here is because they're thought to be relatives of the great white shark because they have a lot of similarities. Obviously, the Megalodon is just much, much bigger. So another awesome thing about sharks is just how diverse they are. They come in almost every single shape and size. They can live in almost every single form of water. And they come in tons of different colors, and they're just very, very cool. So, for example, this is a whale shark. This is the biggest shark that we have in our waters. And then the smallest shark is called a dwarf lantern shark. And they are about the size of this pencil. So they're very, very small. Now, sharks not only have different body sizes, but like I said, they also live in different habitats. You can have sharks that live in the deep ocean, in freezing Arctic waters, in coral reefs, in mangroves, and in seagrass. Did you know that sharks can even sometimes be found in rivers? There's something called a bull shark, and they have been found to actually swim upstream into rivers or into brackish water, which just means that word brackish is salt water and fresh water mixed together. So I have another poll question for you guys, and this one is, which is not a shark habitat? So where do sharks not live? Lakes, rivers, coral reefs, or the deep ocean? Where would you not be able to find a shark? All right, most of you guys got that one right. A lot of sharks do live at the coral reef. Down here we see nurse sharks in the reef. There's something called a Caribbean reef shark. Even hammerheads sometimes swim in our coral reef. In deep ocean, you have things like mako sharks, great white sharks, whale sharks. In rivers, like I was saying, there have been known to be bull sharks that actually can live in rivers. Now, they don't live there all the time, and it's not a super common thing, but they have been found there. The only one where sharks do not live or where their habitat is not is lakes. So good job on that one, guys. All right, so, I also have a really cool thing to show you guys, just to show you how diverse sharks are. So this is a rostrum, which just means it's a part of the body of a fish that's extended from the head. So if I were this sawfish, it would almost lay like this on me. But this is just to show you how diverse sharks are. There is a shark called a sawfish that has this on their body. Look at how cool that is. And I actually do have a few other shark jaws that I'm going to show you a little bit later, just to show you how diverse sharks are. Alrighty. So next we are going to talk about shark senses. So when we think of human senses, we have 5. We have our sight, our smell, our touch, our taste, and our hearing. So we have those 5 senses. And the cool thing about sharks is that they also have all 5 of these senses. So we are going to get out worksheet number 1. That looks like this. And then there's a second page on here that looks like this. So the first page of worksheet 1 is a little bit of a fill in the blank, and we're going to do this together. And then by the end of this, you'll have a little bit of a better idea of how sharks use their senses, and then you'll be able to fill out this by yourself. And I do want to mention, guys, if I'm ever going to fast, or if you think that you can't finish an activity in time by the time that I'm done talking about it, absolutely feel free to pause the video and go at your own pace. All right, so let's get out this. So I'm just going to go down and start reading about each of these shark senses and talk a little bit more about what these things mean. So it says, read the paragraph and using the word bank, fill in the blanks. Once you have read the completed paragraph, fill in the table on the next page by either drawing or writing how humans and sharks use their senses. So, the first sentence says, sharks are amazing blank. Now, looking at the word bank, I think that the word fish would go nicely there. Sharks are amazing fish. So you're going to put fish in that first blank, and then you can cross off it in the word bank. Sharks have the same 5 senses that humans have. Taste, touch, vision, smell, and hearing. So hearing is your next blank right there. So let's start with the next one, taste. Sharks do not like the taste of humans. We are not part of their diet. Sharks eat marine animals like fish, crustaceans, and even sometimes mammals. Some sharks are blank. These sharks eat plankton and krill. So basically for taste, this is saying that sharks do not eat humans. Guys, I cannot express this enough, and why you shouldn't be afraid of sharks is because they really, really do not want to hurt us. They don't want to eat us. We are not a part of their diet. But some sharks, like whale sharks and basking sharks, are called filter feeders. And filter feeders are sharks that only eat plankton and krill. So they don't even eat fish at all. So in that third blank, some sharks are blank, you're going to write some sharks are filter feeders. So filter feeders, once again, eat plankton and krill. All right, let's go to sight. Sharks have very good eyesight and can detect prey even in the dark. Sharks have an extra eyelid called the blank. This eyelid protects the shark when they are hunting. All right, so let's start with that first sentence. It says that sharks can even detect prey in the dark. So I want you guys to imagine a cat at night. I don't know if any of you guys have cats as pets, but if you ever see them at night, their eyes light up, almost looking like mini light bulbs or mini moons. They're super reflective, and this helps cats see at night. And sharks have the exact same thing. So if you were to ever go diving or snorkeling at night, sharks would have that very reflective glow about their eyes. And all that is it helps them see and find their prey in the dark. It's used for hunting. Now, the second sentence in this says sharks have an eyelid called the blank. So their eyelid, so they have eyelids just like us, but they have a second one called the nictitating membrane. So that's where you're going to write that. And that membrane or that second eyelid helps them hunt because they'll put it down, but it's still, they can see through it. It's transparent. So they can still see what they're doing. They can still hunt their prey, but they're protecting their eye from if their prey has teeth or has any like sharp things on its body, so it helps them hunt and be protected at the same time. All right, let's go on to smell. So a shark's best sense is their smell. They can detect 1 drop of blood 1/4 of a mile away. So a quarter of a mile away, if there was one drop of blood, a shark would actually be able to find where that blood is. Again, not human blood, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fish blood and marine animal blood, part of sharks' diets. All right, touch. Scientists have learned that when sharks are turned upside down, the shark will not be able to move. This is called tonic immobility. So you guys can write tonic immobility there. Scientists sometimes do this to learn more about shark behavior and to protect the species. Remember, you should never touch wildlife. So, to talk a little bit more about this, some scientists have learned that if you flip a shark upside down, and so their bellies is sticking upward, it almost puts sharks in like a dream sleep-like state where they're still conscious, they're still alive, but they can't move. And scientists have done this to be able to tag sharks, record measurements such as their height and their weight, and it's just a really safe way for a scientist to collect his data while also making sure that the shark isn't too stressed out. So, like I said, and like it says in the paper, me personally, I should never touch wildlife. You should never touch wildlife. If you do get lucky enough to ever see a shark, we definitely just want to look with our eyes. But this is something that scientists do. That's pretty cool. All right, so those are our 5 senses. And another awesome thing about sharks, I feel like I keep saying that over and over again, but they're just the coolest animal, is that they have 2 extra senses. So let's read this last paragraph. Sharks also have extra senses that are used to help them detect vibrations and electric signals in the water. This helps them navigate their way around the ocean and find prey to eat. First, they use their blink to detect prey that is thrashing and moving around in the water. And so you guys actually should know this word already. They use their lateral line. Also, I just noticed that I did skip hearing, so sorry about that. We'll go back up and do hearing in a second once we finish this paragraph. All right. They also have small, jelly-filled holes on their body called the ampullae of Lorenzini. These little holes detect electricity that is being emitted by other fish. How cool is that? So I actually have a picture of the ampullae of Lorenzini, or those little jelly-filled sacs that are on shark body. So do you guys see this shark right here? And do you guys see all those little black dots? That is the ampullae of Lorenzini, or those jelly-filled holes. And that and their lateral line, just like how other fish have lateral lines, and like it says in the paragraph, they help detect movement from around them, like vibrations and electric signals, and it just helps them navigate the waters, and it helps them find prey. All right, sorry about that. Let's go back up to hearing really quick. So hearing, it says, sharks do have ears even though you can't see them. So our ears stick out on our bodies. Sharks definitely don't have ears like that, but they do have little holes on the side of their heads. They can hear very low-pitched noises. So that word is low. And once again, their hearing and those low-pitched noises are going to help them be able to find their prey and eat and be able to eat. All right, so that was our shark senses worksheet. So hopefully you guys were able to fill that out. So the second sheet that comes along with this will be very easy to do once you have that word and story filled out. And this one is, what is a shark's primary sense? So that means primary just means best. So what's a shark's best sense? Good job, guys. So their primary sense is their smell. That is what they use most, and it's their strongest sense as well. So good job. A lot of you guys got that right. I'm also seeing a lot in the comments, people are asking about, if sharks don't like humans, then why do they bite us? And that is a really good question, and there's a few different answers for it. One, if water is, let's say, not so clear, maybe there's a lot of dirt or sand kicked up and it's hard to see, sometimes sharks can get confused between humans and between their prey, like fish or bigger animals. And so it's never a shark's intent to attack or bite a human, but sometimes they do it just out of pure confusion. So that's probably the number one way sharks end up biting humans. A second reason they do, and this is the reason why so many shark attacks really aren't attacks, they're one bite and then the shark gets scared and swims away, is because they do something called a test bite. So if a shark isn't 100% sure if it's biting into the correct thing, it'll take one bite to sample what it is, and almost all the time it'll swim away or realize that it's a human and doesn't like the taste of blood or the taste of what we taste like, and it'll go away. So that's called a test bite, and that's why so many times if a shark is going to bite a human can usually live because it's usually just one bite. They never want to get aggressive or attack us or anything of that sort. So just keep that in mind, that if a shark is to ever do it, it's not its intention. It's usually a very big mistake or an accident. But those are some really good questions, guys. Okay, so now we are going to move on to what shark jaws look like and a little bit more about what they eat. So there's two different types of ways sharks eat. Most sharks are meat eaters, so they eat fish, marine mammals, crustaceans, things of that sort, and so they have really, really big teeth. And then the second type of shark is called a filter feeder. So like we were talking about in the beginning, you have whale sharks or basking sharks. These guys don't really have your classic sharp, normal shark teeth. They instead filter feed, which means they suck in water and catch krill and plankton and eat that and then push all the rest of the water out. So once again, what species of shark is a filter feeder? So is a filter feeder a whale shark, a bull shark, or a nurse shark? Good job, guys. So the answer was whale shark. So this guy right here, the biggest shark in our ocean. It's funny that it's the biggest shark because it is one of the sharks that do not eat fish. It eats plankton and krill. So very good job. That is what a filter feeder is. All right, so let me show you guys some shark jaws that I have. The first one I'm going to show you is a juvenile bull shark. So when I say juvenile, that means that this is not an adult yet. It is still a baby, maybe a few months old. So this is pretty small for a bull shark. They can get much, much bigger. And I wanted to show you guys this one because if you can see, look at how many rows of teeth sharks have. Very, very cool. Much different than humans. I mean, we lose one tooth and grow in our adult teeth, but sharks, on the other hand, are losing teeth constantly. And that is because their teeth are their main way that they catch fish and their prey. And so the second a shark tooth gets too dull or isn't going to be able to slice into a fish, they lose that tooth and grow a brand new one that's much sharper in order to make sure that they can still keep eating what's in their diet. So that is what a baby bull shark looks like. And like I said, they can get much bigger. But yeah, here's another picture of it. Okay, so I want to move on to that second worksheet, which looks like this. There's two shark jaws that I've circled because I actually have those two jaws with me. So I want to do those two with you guys, and then you guys can do the rest of these on your own time. So let's start with this one in the corner right here. This guy right here. So this is that jaw. You guys can see it. Alright, so the first things I want you guys to note is that these teeth are really, really small and that the mouth is pretty wide. So this is very different from that bull shark that we just saw. The bull shark has much bigger teeth than this guy. So if the bull shark eats pretty big fish, pretty big animals because of its big teeth, and this guy has small teeth, what do you think it would eat? Do you think it would eat big fish, or do you think it would eat small fish? So if you do have an answer for that, what do you think it would eat? You can write that down on your worksheet. And I will let you know that this is a lemon shark. So more about lemon sharks, they like to live in more shallow waters closer to shore. A lot of times you'll find them in mangrove ecosystems. And for those of you who made some guesses, they do eat really small fish and things like lobster and shrimp and things that are on the bottom of the ocean. So that is your first one. The species is a lemon shark, and they eat small fish, shrimp, lobster, smaller things that their small teeth will allow them to eat. All right, the next one that I have circled, it's in the second row, and it's the second column. So again, it's that one that's circled. And this is what that jaw looks like. So once again, very different, very big, long, thin, sharp teeth. So if you're comparing this guy to the lemon shark, which one do you think eats bigger things? It's probably this one, right? Much bigger jaw, much bigger teeth. So this guy is a mako shark. Mako sharks are the fastest shark in the world, and they also live in deeper water. So they eat bigger fish like tuna and mackerel, things that you'll see that are really, really fast as well in the deep ocean. But yeah, this is what the mako shark looks like. Again, from the back, look at all those rows of teeth. Pretty cool. So for your worksheet, where the mako shark is, species mako shark, what they eat, bigger fish, mackerel, tuna, jacks, anything that's big and fast that also lives in the deep ocean. Quickly and lastly, I do want to talk to you guys about the threats that sharks are facing. Sharks are really in danger, and unfortunately, this is mostly due to humans. We overfish. We have bad fishing practices sometimes, to where sharks are being fished when we don't really need them. There is something called shark fin soup, and it is all over the globe. You can find it pretty much everywhere, but it's when, unfortunately, you fish for sharks and you only use their fins, so only about 2% of the shark body. You keep the fins, you throw the rest of the shark back in the ocean for it to usually suffocate, and then you use the fins to make a soup. And yeah, it's just not needed. It's really threatening our shark populations, and unfortunately it's causing big problems in our sharks to be endangered. Now this soup, it's pretty silly too. A lot of people think that it's really nutritious for you, or it's a delicacy. It's actually really expensive, but really there's no nutritional value in it at all. So it's just something that doesn't necessarily need to happen and that we could go without. Another threat to sharks and to our oceans in general is pollution. There is so much plastic and trash in our ocean, it is incredible. A lot of people think that there is actually more plastic in our ocean than stars in the galaxy. Can you guys imagine how much trash that is? And it is ruining our ocean and killing off a lot of our awesome wildlife. A lot of times I'll go snorkeling or diving in the Florida Keys, and you can actually see it firsthand. I've seen tons of reef sharks before that are swimming on by, minding their own business, and they'll have a hook stuck in their mouth with tons of line following them. And that's just because there's just a lot of pollution in our ocean, and people sometimes don't have the best fishing methods. Now, I'm not telling you guys not to fish, because there's so many amazing ways you can fish sustainably, and also in the United States we're super lucky, and all over the world we're super lucky to mostly have good fishing rules and laws and practices. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm saying no, don't fish, it's all bad. It's absolutely not all bad. I'm just saying before you do go on a boat, just learn the rules and try and fish responsibly. Now, you might ask, why are sharks important? Yeah, they're cool animals. Yeah, they're beautiful. They can do amazing things. But the most important reason why is that they are on top of the food chain. So if you remember talking to Miss Dora about apex predators, sharks are apex predators of the ocean, which means they are on the top of the food chain, and they make sure that the entire food chain is in balance. So if we take sharks out of the picture, that means that the entire food chain and a lot of ecosystems will collapse, and we definitely don't want that to happen. Another important thing of them being an apex predator is that they feed on a lot of the sick and dying fish. So like I was saying, they can detect really low noises, and with their extra two senses, they can detect vibrations and electric signals in the water, just like how we were saying earlier. Well, a lot of times sick or dying fish have really low pitched frequencies, and they vibrate a lot more because they're usually struggling. And so sharks are awesome predators because they eat those fish before. So then they keep other populations really healthy, which is a good thing. Finally, what can we do? What do you guys think that we can help out sharks? Because there's definitely some ways we can. And Miss Dora talked to you guys about some of these things when we were talking about coral reefs and mangroves and seagrass beds, but just like those things, we can also help sharks. Clean up your trash. Just make sure that there's no litter on the ground. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Educate other people. Now that you guys know that sharks aren't scary, let your friends know that they're really cool animals and that we need to protect them. Another awesome thing that you can do, especially if you live on coastal waters, is write your local government. Tell them that you think that sharks are really important and we should do a better job at protecting them. That's always a really good way to get involved. So now that we have finished our lesson, I am going to step aside really quick and get our activity set up. So hopefully you have your materials, and if not, you can definitely do this at a later date, or you can just watch. Either or, totally fine. So if you guys remember, we were talking about how sharks do not have a swim bladder, and instead they have that fatty liver. So we're going to simulate how sharks stay buoyant with that fatty liver. So here's my tub of water. All right, and here are my two sharks. So this guy right here, my ugly shark, once again, don't mind my drawing. This is going to be our shark that does not have a fatty liver. So there's nothing inside of it, but it does have 3 pennies attached to the back. And all those 3 pennies that is going to be your shark weight. All sharks weigh something, so that's going to be what our shark weighs. So here's our first shark. Now let's just see what happens when you dunk it into the ocean and it does not have that fatty liver. Uh-oh. So as you guys can see, this shark is not buoyant at all. It completely sunk to the bottom. Now let's try with this one. So this guy is my second shark. Again, 3 pennies at the bottom to show its weight. It has my oil inside. Again, oil is a fat, so just like its fatty liver, the oil is going to be this shark's fatty liver. And that shark completely stayed floating. You guys get a better view. So that top one is the one with the fatty liver, and the bottom one completely sunk. All right, so definitely try that at home. And as you can see, it's super important that all fish have swim bladders and sharks have those fatty livers, or else they would all be completely stuck and sunk to the bottom and would not be able to swim very well. And I did want to mention, that was not an activity that Reef Relief made up. You'll see on our blog that I have the link to the blog that we actually got that activity from, and there was also some really cool other like ocean experiments on that page as well, so definitely check it out.